good evening to you all. This is Tina Joy welcoming you to the 190th Foundation Day of the Bombay Chamber of Commerce and Industry. A traveler once asked three men working on a construction site what they were doing. The first said, "I'm earning a living." The second said, "I am the best stone cutter in the country." But the third, with a gleam in his eye, looked up and said, "I'm building a bridge." For 190 years, the members of this chamber haven't just been earning a living or practicing a craft. They have been building an institution meant to outlast them and serve generations they would never meet. As we mark this milestone in 2025, we honor those who saw the bridge when there was only dust, and we commit ourselves to the next 190 years of its existence. Today, as we honor a legacy built on trust, thought leadership, and service, we reaffirm our commitment to steering industry towards a future defined by innovation, inclusion, and sustainable growth. This is embodied in our President's theme this year, Shaping the Future, Innovation, Inclusion, Impact. And I would like to now invite him on the dais, Mr. Rajiv Anand, President, Bombay Chamber, and MD and CEO, IndusInd Bank, to present his welcome address. A huge round of applause for him.
Mrs. Arundhati Bhattacharya, former chairperson, State Bank of India. Ms. Lata Venkatesh, executive director, executive editor, CNBC TV 18. My colleague Sudhanshu, Senior Vice President, Bombay Chamber, and Managing Director, Pidilite, past presidents, distinguished board members, members of Councillor Corps, members of the Bombay Chamber, and esteemed guests. It's my privilege to extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to all of you on the 190th Foundation Day of the Bombay Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We are deeply honored by the presence of our guests, Ms. Arundhati Bhattacharya and Lata Venkatesh, and are grateful to them for graciously accepting our invitation to join us on this special occasion. Established in 1836, the Bombay Chamber has traversed an extraordinary journey, shaping India's economic and commercial landscape for nearly 2 centuries. Our Foundation Day is a moment to reflect on these origins, on our mission to promote trade and commerce, and on the Chamber's role as a steadfast voice of the business community. Today, however, is not only a commemoration of our past, it's equally a celebration of our enduring commitment to progress, excellence, and thought leadership. As I reflect on this legacy, I'm filled with pride as well as a profound sense of responsibility to carry forward the Chamber's role as a catalyst for transformation in commerce and industry. This responsibility is one we fulfill collectively, drawing strength from the support, engagement, and contribution of our members. Our ability to adapt with the times, each president building on the vision of the last, our past president Pinky is here, has ensured the steady and thoughtful evolution of our institution. Our membership today reflects the breadth and diversity of India's enterprise ecosystem. It includes some of the country's largest corporates, many of whom have been associated with us for more than a century, as well as a dynamic and expanding SME sector that now accounts for 2/3 of our base. As a trusted bridge between government and industry, our committees curate over 100 knowledge-driven sessions each year across multiple formats, addressing issues of greatest relevance to our members and the wider business community. The Chamber is also recognized for its member-centric services, including certificates of origin, visa recommendation letters, arbitration, mediation, and conciliation services. In mediation services, the Chamber concluded recently its AI and Law Leadership series with a series on responsible AI that brought together legal, enterprise, operational, and ethical perspectives. The series served as a timely platform to explore how India can shape a practical and forward-looking approach to AI governance, reinforcing the need for innovation anchored in accountability. We continue to manage a substantial arbitration portfolio currently comprising 18 matters that require close coordination, preparation of submissions, stakeholder engagement, and strict adherence to tribunal proceedings. Each reference is carefully scrutinized before admission, and the Chamber's arbitration rules are periodically updated in line with the Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996 to ensure efficiency, fairness, and legal compliance. On this Saturday, December 20th, 2025, the Chamber is also organizing a seminar on understanding the implications of the new labor code on employee relationships, wages, employment contracts, and contract labor. In a unique initiative, we also conducted a two-way certification program on POSH for internal committee members to strengthen organizational preparedness under the POSH Act. The program included deep dive sessions on law, inquiry proceedings, and documentation standards, as well as live case studies, role-play simulations, and judgment analysis. The program is aimed to standardize IC practices, reinforce accountability, and equip members with clarity and tools required to uphold workplace safety with rigor and responsibility. All this is in line with the Chamber's theme this year, shaping the future, innovation, inclusion, and impact. This theme is anchored in 5 elements: catalyzing substantial, sustainable economic growth, driving technology and innovation, empowering human capital, deepening public-private partnerships, and modernizing the Chamber for the next generation. Guided by these mission elements, the Chamber has translated this theme into tangible action through a wide range of high-impact signature events, dialogues, and sectoral engagements. In June this year, we hosted the Bombay Chamber DEI Forum and Awards 2025, now in its 3rd edition, celebrating organizations that have demonstrated exemplary commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, while inspiring meaningful dialogue on workplace transformation. We will be releasing a book later this evening which features our winners and tells the story behind the initiatives that are redefining inclusion in the world of work. We had a series of MSME conclaves this year, commencing with new business opportunities for MSMEs held in June, moving on to global partnerships, smart finance, dispute resolution for MSME growth in September. The last of the series will be held in January 2026 and will focus on global opportunities, smart financing, the next era for MSMEs. At the REITs Asset Tokenization Conclave 2025, from bricks to blocks, the Chamber brought together senior regulators, policy influencers, industry pioneers, and legal experts to discuss the shifting contours of real estate investment in India. The Chamber's flagship infrastructure conclave was titled Udishta Pathway to a $1 Trillion Sustainable Maharashtra. It convened a distinguished lineup of leaders from business, policy, and academia to discuss the state's roadmap to a $1 trillion economy. The conclave highlighted how Maharashtra's key growth drivers contribute to this milestone, with particular emphasis on strategic infrastructure development, robust financial regulation, and the effective implementation of government initiatives. Our annual Insurance Summit 2025 examined how the insurance sector can underpin a more resilient economic framework by enhancing risk protection and financial inclusion. Meanwhile, our seminar on recent trends in corporate reorganization equipped business leaders and legal practitioners with insight into restructuring, mergers, and modern governance standards. The CSR Conclave 2025 emphasized responsible governance, ethical due diligence, and measurable community impact in corporate social responsibility. During the conclave, we released our first CSR yearbook, which featured 12 unique CSR case studies that showcased how purpose-driven initiatives can create lasting change for communities and society at large. In keeping with the current focus on tariffs, the Chamber convened a high-level panel discussion titled Tariffs, Trade, and India's Economic Future, bringing together sectoral leaders to assess the impact of the US trade tariffs. The Sustainability Conclave 2025, themed Closing the Loop, brought together leaders to examine circularity, material efficiency, regenerative business models, reinforcing the Chamber's commitment to responsible and forward-looking industry practices. Our Mutual Fund Conclave 3.0 provided a platform for regulators, market experts, and asset managers to discuss pathways to deepen India's capital markets and support long-term capital formation. A focused session on the recent SEBI amendments to LODR and ICDR further enabled industry participants to strengthen compliance in an evolving regulatory environment. The 16th AgriCorp Conference 2025, Innovation in Agriculture, Unlocking New Growth and Sustainability in association with Kisan Forum Private Limited, was held in Pune recently. Key stakeholders, policymakers, agri-business leaders, technology innovators, investors, and farmer organizations convened to explore how AI is reshaping India's agriculture through data-driven decision-making, precision farming, and smart technologies. A new initiative, FundQuest Agripreneurs 2025, was held along with AgriCorp, reaffirming our commitment to fostering innovation in agriculture. Beyond national borders, the Chamber partnered with Taiwan Smart Agri Week held in September at Tinex, Taipei City. A 15-member delegation from the Chamber, led by Mr. Sandeep Khosla and Mr. Rajan Raje, engaged in networking, strategic dialogues, and knowledge exchange with international stakeholders. Earlier this month, the Chamber led India's first ever business delegation to Cyprus, following the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi's visit to that country. The delegation aimed to strengthen bilateral commercial partnerships and creating opportunities for collaboration across sectors such as shipping, technology, professional services, and MSMEs. We are currently working on another prestigious project in association with the Indian Express book, the CEO's AI Playbook, which will showcase real boardroom-level use cases on AI strategy authored by CEOs themselves. This book will be launched at a prestigious event and a gathering of CEOs, COOs, and C-suite leaders, where the authors of the book will also be invited. Collectively, these initiatives underscore the Chamber's strong commitment to advancing progressive business practices, fostering enterprise development, and reinforcing Mumbai's standing as a hub of economic leadership. I also take this opportunity to thank our partners, sponsors, whose support has been instrumental in making these initiatives possible, and I look forward to continued collaboration in the future. I now invite Stina, our compere, to introduce and welcome Ms. Arundhati Bhattacharya, President and CEO, Salesforce South Asia, and Ms. Lata Venkatesh, Executive Editor, CNBC 18, for an engaging fireside chat. Do have a wonderful evening. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, Mr. Anand, for encapsulating the significant work the Chamber has achieved over the years and in recent months. Before we go on to the fireside chat, we have something special coming up. In June this year, we successfully hosted the third edition of the Bombay Chamber DEI Forum and Awards. Building on the momentum of the awards, we believed that our winners needed a platform to carry their conversations forward. So, like last year, we invited them to author their stories, enabling their journeys to serve as inspirational case studies for the industry. To unveil the book, I now invite on the dais Ms. Arundhati Bhattacharya, President and Chief Executive Officer, Salesforce South Asia, who was a speaker in a panel discussion at our awards. A huge round of applause for Ms. Bhattacharya. Joining her, Ms. Lata Venkatesh, Executive Editor, CNBC TV 18. We can have the applause continue. Thank you. Mr. Rajiv Anand, our President. Mr. Sudhanshu Vats, Senior Vice President, Bombay Chamber, and Managing Director, Pidilite Industries Limited. Ms. Meenakshi Priyam, Chair, DI Committee, Bombay Chamber, and Senior Vice President and Head, Human Resources, Automotive Division, Mahindra & Mahindra. Ms. Pinky Mehta, Immediate Past President, Bombay Chamber, and CFO, Aditya Birla Capital. Dr. Indu Shani, Founding President and Chancellor at Atlas Skill Tech University, and Mr. Sandeep Khosla, Director General, Bombay Chamber. Can we have the books, please? everyone. We'll be sharing the flipbook version of the book with you all over the next few days. Coming up next is this evening's highlight, a fireside chat between two distinguished women whose professional journeys reflect exceptional leadership, influence, and integrity. Before I invite them on the dais, a brief intro about them. Our moderator, Ms. Lata Venkatesh, is Executive Editor, CNBC TV 18. She began her career in CNBC TV 18 as Chief of the Mumbai News Bureau. Over the years, she has come to be recognized as one of the keenest watchers of the Reserve Bank of India and a respected commentator on banking sector issues, money markets, and macroeconomic trends. She has been a business journalist for years and has specialized in covering all markets, stocks, currency debt, and commodities. She has also had stints in all major streams of media, having worked in the Economic Times and Dow Jones Newswires for 5 years each. Srimati Arundhati Bhattacharya is the President and Chief Executive Officer, Salesforce South Asia. In her role, Arundhati oversees the growth strategy of the company and plays an integral role in defining Salesforce's relationship with the ecosystem of customers, partners, and community across South Asia. Recently honored with the Padma Shri, one of India's highest civilian awards by the Government of India, for her contributions to trade and industry, she brings a legacy of leadership, innovation, and impact. Prior to Salesforce, she made history as the first woman chairperson of the State Bank of India, where she led the bank's digital transformation. With over 40 years of experience in India's financial sector, spanning diverse national and international roles, Arundhati has earned numerous accolades, including recognition among the world's 100 most powerful women by Forbes, Top 50 globally most powerful women in business, and the world's 50 greatest leaders list by Fortune. India Today magazine ranked her 19th in India's 50 most powerful people of 2017, and she was inducted in the Hall of Fame of Business Today's most powerful women in business, an exclusive club reserved for 7-time winners of the MPW Awards. Distinguished guests, please put your hands together as I invite these illustrious ladies to their dais.
Well, before I start kind of firing questions, I want to say one thing about Mrs. Bhattacharya. We always used to refer to her with a lot of admiration as the first woman chairman of State Bank of India. But I want to say personally, I know that people did not respect her simply because she was the first woman chairman, but because she has many firsts, irrespective of the gender. For instance, she is the first public sector banker to have been awarded the Padma Shri. This is not a gender achievement. It is an achievement, irrespective of the gender. And I know that subsequent chairmen and managing directors of all banks, State Bank, public sector banks, and other banks, have looked at her with admiration and have wanted to imbibe many of the lessons that she personified when she worked at the helm in State Bank. And today, many of my questions, Mrs. Bhattacharya, are gender neutral. Some of them will be gender specific because, let us face it, our gender still has to fight a few more battles. We have to multitask a little more. A little more is expected of us. So what you have achieved by example will also be part of my questionnaire. But to begin, what I really want to learn from you, and what I'm sure the audience want to understand, since Bombay Chamber has already conducted several workshops on artificial intelligence, you, as a person who knows India very well, you are the best interface we can have to a multinational company like Salesforce, which is on the cutting edge of AI. If you can tell us, how will business change in India? How will the economy change in India as this tidal wave of AI is upon us?
Thank you very much. Thank you, first of all, to the Bombay Chamber of Commerce. Just as a, there are these hygiene announcements in any of these conferences, so I'm making a hygiene announcement. I have a really, really bad cold, so don't come anywhere near me. I'm told unless this is passed on to 12 people, it won't leave me. But I don't want those 12 amongst you. Okay. So anyway, frankly, I was feeling really, really unwell. So I thought at the last minute, should I cancel? But then, an invitation from Rajiv and a invitation especially to talk to Lata, who I really like talking to, I thought it was too good a chance to pass up. So
Mrs.
in case...
Bhattacharya, your book is indomitable. That's her autobiography, indomitable. So considering that, you have dominated over, prevailed over so many
So what's a cold?
issues.
So what's a cold?
What's a cold?
Yeah. So except that if I'm talking nonsense, no, it's the Sedzin talking. It's not me. Okay. So with that, let me start. You were talking about AI and how I think things will change. Frankly, I think AI is something that's going to fundamentally change the way we work. I don't think that there is any doubt about it. A lot of people are talking about the AI bubble. They're talking about how, the dot-com bubble also was there, and is this something similar? Now, you leave out the fact that, there is money that may be circulating around, and the kind of investments that are being made are astronomical in numbers. But those who have actually handled it and those who know it, they know that the power is just too much. It's not something that's going to change. It's going to change the way we work absolutely in a manner that will be irreversible. Okay, that's the primary segment that I'll talk about. Now, how will it impact India? Now, India is very different from the West. There are different ways in which AI will impact different parts of the country or parts of the world. In the West, where there is a shortage of labor, they are actually looking at the next wave, which is the robotic agents, where, physical labor will also, they will be able to do. In India, on the other hand, India is very poorly served, very underserved, with even the necessary, support or the potential that is required to be unlocked from our people, mainly because you cannot unlock these without technology. It's like, I'll give you the example of Jan Dhan Yojana. We'd been trying to do financial inclusion for 14 years before we started PMJDY. What empowered PMJDY? It was mainly the mobile and the Aadhaar. Okay, both were technology initiatives. Without the JAM initiative, Jan Dhan Yojana would not have happened. Okay. It's the same with the rest of India. If we are really going to unlock the potential of India and ensure that our people are given the minimal kind of services that are required for them, and thereby really bring about a flowering of the economy, because then the consumption needs will rise, people will require many more things, many more people will be required to be involved in it, and therefore the overall standards of living will go up. None of this will happen without really, committing ourselves to AI. Now, how we commit ourselves, what is it that we should do, we can discuss that as we go along. But believe me, this is a change that is here to stay. It is something which we need to lean into, not resist. If you resist, like a wave, like a tsunami, it will overtake you. However, if you're a server, you ride the wave. And that's the way to look at AI. You need to ride the wave of AI so that you are more empowered. You are not disempowered. Resisting it will disempower you. Leaning into it will empower you, will make you far more capable of delivering much more than what you are delivering today. And that is where we need to go. And that is how we need to change the mindsets of people. I often remember when I was, trying to computerize foreign department in Calcutta. And in Calcutta, they were very, very scared about the fact that jobs will be lost and things like that. Now, at the end of the day, the more they resisted, the more they lost jobs. All of it came to Mumbai instead because of the huge resistance there. Who did it benefit? Ultimately, the computerization happened. So, very clear examples that I've seen along the way that today what we really need to do is to embrace it, not to fight it.
Oh, that's extremely well put in terms of the example you're giving us. SBI Treasury did have to shift to Mumbai. But this job loss is a real issue. Let me draw a parallel, which perhaps is extremely inadequate, but I will. When I started in Economic Times, I was a commodities reporter. And I used to actually write out the prices, LME prices, sugar, and cotton. These were the three, and edible oils. These were the four that I had to cover in a ledger. And over 2 years, I could see the patterns and write what came very close to editorial. It was more what we call anchor pieces. Now, after Excel came in, and of course internet much later. We got internet only when I was in Dow Jones midway. 97 was when we had more of internet. But Excel did not take away jobs. There was a fear, but actually what happened was I could cover more commodities, I could cover corporates also, and we covered them more sensibly because it was easier to do it. When of course internet came, until then we used to store all our data and mine them very crudely. With internet, we could mine so much more so quickly. Now, how does AI compare? Is it going to make each of us more productive, that we do much more, or is it actually going to take away jobs?
No, very clearly the nature of the jobs will change. It's not a question of taking away jobs. It will create more jobs because, as I said, as people come up to potential, their demands and requirements go up. I remember when I was a very small child, we could afford only one newspaper. And every member of the family was reading one page at a time. Today I have 6 newspapers delivered home. Okay, and sometimes I can't even open all of them because there isn't time. So it's not a question of the fact that jobs will go away, but the jobs will change. The jobs will 100% change, and transition periods are always painful. I'm not saying that there won't be pain. There will be pain. And how do you ensure that you're not part of the pain, rather the part of the winning side? That is where you need to realize what is it that you really need to do in order to make sure that you are not the one that's having to pay the price for it. But if you ask me, will there be more jobs? Yes, there will be more jobs. Will there be similar kinds of jobs? No, there won't be. What will be the attributes of the persons taking those jobs? The more multidisciplinary they are, the more experiences they have that can actually relate. For instance, I can get AI to write an answer for me in ChatGPT for 30 seconds. But it won't know the examples that I'm giving. It won't know about what happened in foreign department. It don't know what happened in PMJDY. That is where it comes in. Today I would say the human element is becoming very, very important because that is not captured by AI. AI will take away your repetitive jobs. AI will take away your regular things, features, things like document analysis. Why do I need a human being to do a document analysis? It can be done just as well with AI. So we have actually in companies reduced the time for disbursement of vehicle loans or two-wheeler loans from two days to as little as 30 minutes. Okay? Why? What was those two days being taken for? People would give in documents, somebody would find a gap or a fault or some kind of a triaging problem, it would go back to them, ask them to give it again. So this toing and froing was what was taking the time. Today, if I give the document, AI within 30 seconds will tell me that there is a discrepancy in these 3 data. These are the reasons, these are the gaps that are not being filled in. I go back, get it filled, get the right data in, and your loan is done. Because simultaneously it's also doing trade underwriting, okay, by pulling data from wherever they need to put. So the fact of the matter is you'll get a lot more done. Today, for instance, a lot of MSMEs don't get loans. Why? Because we are relying on historical data, we are relying on financial statements, and we are relying on manual judgment. AI will be able to disrupt this completely because it won't go on it's just the financial statements, it will go on cash flows. It will look at behavior. What's your behavior? And it will pull from third-party sources, multiple third-party sources. What's your GST? What's your electricity bill? What are the kinds of invoices you're doing? Who are you doing them on? So that, the judgments will come much faster. So those MSMEs today that don't have those kinds of formal, books of accounts and things like that, even they will become eligible. And as they become eligible, as they get included in the financial system, they'll grow bigger. So I don't think that it's a question of reduction of opportunities. It's a question of actually burgeoning of opportunities, but we better be ready for it.
Yeah, we are put through, every month once, how much better are you using AI in our offices? And I guess that's a very rudimentary question. It would be much more advanced a question that perhaps Rajiv Anand will be asking in this end, and you will be, your clients would be asking their offices. I can go on with AI, but let me get to other issues, because I think this is an audience with its own doubts and questions to you. So let me quickly come to the banking. Since you already touched on how auto loans would be disbursed, or loans itself would be disbursed, banking today has a very different problem. And that is that savers have more options. So it's not a problem you need to ponder about for your day job, but how do you see this? Savings have completely been disintermediated by mutual funds and others. So how does banking look to you today?
So banking is also undergoing an inevitable change, okay? And I'll give you an example of a successful bank that has done it at the end. But the fact of the matter is the liquidity is not going out of the system, okay? But what is happening to the liquidity is it comes with a different flavor and a different behavior, okay? The companies that are taking these monies into mutual funds, etc., ultimately they come and put down those monies in the banks themselves.
Yes.
However, they don't put it down as retail deposits. They put it down as wholesale deposits, as corporate deposits. So the fact of the matter is the behavior of a retail deposit from a corporate deposit is very well known. A retail deposit is sticky, it's predictable, and not so costly. A corporate deposit, on the other hand, is very, very interest rate sensitive. It can be taken out at a moment's notice, and the entire behavior is much more volatile. It is much more pro-cycle than the other way around. If there is a problem, there is a tendency to freeze, okay? So the fact of the matter is the banks have to know now how to negotiate this kind of a, change. We used to once in a while call treasury, lazy banking. Yes, we are used to lazy banking, and we have to change, because lazy banking is not going to be the way that banks will be in the future. Banks need far better knowledge of capital market structures today to understand how they can mitigate their risks. Their NIMs will be under pressure. Their ALM mismatches will occur. They will have to really try and think how they, how they balance these long-term maturity loans with the kind of money that they're going to have. Should they really have them long-term, or should they just be the balance sheet behind it? Now, in this battle of who actually owns the customer, the fear is that the banks shouldn't become dumb pipes, okay? Because while the AI or anything else or the nature of the deposits will not disrupt the bank itself, it will disrupt the bank's profit pools, okay? Already you are seeing that. Fintechs are already disrupting the bank's profit pools, okay? How then do you protect yourself from this? Because the behavior of the people will change. The more they get an opportunity, the more the capital market deepens, the more the returns are lucrative there. People will take money out of banks. There will be a certain amount always over there. And remember, there is always regulatory defense for the banks, because ultimately the money has to stay in the banks. But the behavior is going to be entirely different, and you have got to reconcile yourself with that behavior, create the specializations that enable you to thrive in that behavior. Only then you're going to be able to do it. And by the way, which is why I think the government's move to further consolidate is absolutely the right one, because the smaller banks will continue to find it more and more difficult not to be able to, sort of wander in situations such as this.
Oh, yes. Okay, I had a bunch of questions triggered by what you said, but since you came down to consolidation and PSU banks, I have been wanting to ask you or any other successful public sector banker this question. Actually, SBI is a class apart. It's SBI and public sector. But nevertheless, look at the three examples I have in front of me. Mr. Subramanya Kumar couldn't do much in IOB or Indian Bank where he was, but you put him in RBL and he has brought 26,000 crores like that. It's a huge amount of money that NBD has brought. Likewise, Prashant Kumar, your former colleague, put him in Yes Bank, and he's, SMBC has come and it's, turned a new leaf altogether. And this lady called Arundhati Bhattacharya, was a success in State Bank, but who would have thought that you could learn a new skill and, head all of South Asia and Southeast Asia for a cutting-edge company like Salesforce? So what I want to ask you is, how should public sector banks change? It looks like when you take the same talented people out, they achieve 10x more. At least in the case of Subramanya Kumar, it's clearly public sector bank, and coming into private sector, he, changed it. So what should change? There was one old idea that I think PJ Nayak and before that Paivi Reddy said, just take away the Nationalization Act, Banking Companies Act, and bring them under Companies Act. In course of time, there will be independent boards and there will be a different bank. But your idea?
Yeah, basically I still feel PSBs have to deliver with one hand tied behind their backs. And they deliver fantastic results with just one hand. Imagine what they could do if both hands were untied. Okay? It's important, I think, for us to understand that this is there, because there's no lack of merit, there's no lack of talent. But, if you have multiple regulators, and it is almost like that, the aims and actions that are, that are sort of given to them, they need to be focused on ensuring that they are doing the right thing for the right time. You can still get a lot done. I will not say you can't get lots done. We got a lot done in SBI itself. You can still get a lot done, but you have to put far more effort into getting it done. That for the private sector, I think, is a little less. Having said that, I will not say that privatization is the only answer. Okay?
No, I was not even recommending
that. I don't think it's the only answer. Privatization also has its O's. There is a lot of, regulatory oversight that is required to manage all of these entities. And we often find that sometimes on governance standards, etc., people may fall short. So it's not the only, panacea. What is actually required is for everybody to come together with what are we really wanting to do. Somebody wants to do financial inclusion, somebody wants to have very good ratios, somebody wants to do digitization. What is it that we really want to do? What is it that we really want to achieve? And at what level? And on what milestones? And then take away from them anything that is sort of stopping them from getting there. For instance, I was just discussing the other day with somebody. The Monetary Authority of Singapore, by the way, has a business development wing. It's the regulator, mind you. Okay. And I have had direct connect with them because we are in Singapore and the licenses given in Singapore is both for banking and investment banking. We wanted to open an office of SBI CAPS there, but in India they are separate. I couldn't open them together. So when we asked them for permission, they said, you already have permission, go ahead and open, who's stopping you? And I had to tell them, no, I want a separate license. So they said, whatever for? So I said, my parent is separate, and we are not allowed to do it together in India. I can't do it together over here. How will I segregate the two? So for me, you need to issue a special license separately, only for investment banking. And believe me, they did it. Just for us, they gave us a separate investment banking license. Now, that is where I think, the initiative shows how much they want to do. Just recently, I was there with the Singapore government in my other role, and they were telling us they have put 5,000 Singaporean dollars in every Singaporean citizen's account with the proviso that this be spent on learning next-gen IT. Anything you do to learn next-gen IT. And sadly, they came to us because they were finding there was not enough takers. They wanted us to find a solution whereby...
Find a course or something
for people. Not only course. How do we follow up? How do we monitor? How we give reminders? How do we, showcase various courses? So overall, communication between citizens and government in a continuous manner so that they actually use the funds. Now look at the kind of mentality they have. It's a building mentality. And that's what we need here. You know, unless you have that build mentality that, pushing your people forward even, by the way, Singaporeans are very, very, very comfortable. Huh? That's why they're not pushing themselves. That hunger is no longer there. Hunger is there here, but I'm not able to really work on the hunger because I don't have the, the framework which will really encourage me or enable me.
My limited point was not really privatization, but the Companies Act, or at least PJ Naik and Y.V. Reddy's recommendations were that you keep them government, but just bring it to 49.9. If it is over 50, then you have CVC, the CAG, and all those accounts to whom you are answerable. And that means a lot more of compliance. So this is their advice. But do you think that now you can't even postpone it? Or you're just killing your own productivity if, we don't go down that way?
See, basically the thing is, we had given a number of other, suggestions, including golden shares and stuff like that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so those were also given. What we need today is actually capital. Because unless and until you put money behind all of this, you will not be able to get where you need to get.
No, ma'am, but these are rules. I remember one of your own speeches when you said that I can't go across the road to Jamnalal Bajaj and recruit people. It has to be through this recruitment board, a national advertisement, and these things can be avoided if you're not, above 50%.
Yeah.
That's what I was asking.
Exactly. In fact, I was just having a conversation with one of the public sector banks very recently, and we had participated in the RFP, by the way, and we won it. So they were very surprised that we could win it. So I said, I'm determined to get into public sector banks. Where's the question of not winning? But we did not bring in our own professional services, means the ones who actually implement. The reason is because they are premium, okay? So they said, why aren't you giving us the best? You have given it to this corporate. Why aren't you giving it to us? So I said, if I brought them in, I'd be shot out in the first round itself because the prices are higher. So I have come in with, a really good different system integrator. But I had to do it because you have the RFP. And even though I know that this is the best for you, I can't offer you the best because I have to win. I have to compete. So yes, there are difficulties, And again, as I said, in today's day and age, if you are not investing in technology, then you are doing yourself a big disservice. A disservice from which to recover will be very tough. A lot of people tell me, that things are changing so fast. So should I wait? Should I, just look around a little more, see where it goes? So I tell them, when you're getting into a Mumbai local, do you get on it when it slows at the platform or when it is speeding off? You won't be able to get in the middle. Get in now when it is coming into the platform. Because you have to evolve with it. Just one fine day getting in and getting there is not going to be so easy. You have to evolve with it. And I'm not telling you it will not evolve. It will evolve. Okay? So your people now need to become a real learning organization. In fact, that's another thing that, I really sometimes wonder. There was another account where they wanted us to write more than 1,000 wireframes, which is basically the UX portion of it. Why? Because they wanted it to look exactly like their earlier screen, including the color of the drop-down button. Now, you are unnecessarily, putting a lot of burden on the system. It's not going to give you any productivity. Why? Because again, they feel that people won't adopt.
Oh.
Now, in such an organization, in this day of change, I was telling that person that please understand, if you mollycoddle your employees to that extent that they can't understand a new screen and adapt to it, how the hell will you adapt with the situation as it evolves? Because everything is going to change. Every single thing that you are looking at is going to change. Your competitors are going to change. You will have new classes of competitors. And you are, instead protecting them by getting them not to evolve. Means this is not the way. You can't do things like that. Not that they listen to me, by the way. Okay. I didn't win that argument. Okay. But I really felt it. And that's why I said it.
I've given myself the time that at 8, I'll hand it over to the audience for their questions. So let me squeeze in very quickly. Even for private sector banks or NBFCs, do you think that there is this threat of being thrown out of your game very quickly? And look at the way Grow and Zerodha overcame legacy brokers in a jiffy, in a year as it were. Is that threat there for banks in particular?
No, I don't think so. See, what was Zerodha? What are the things that they needed to overcome? The brokerage fee and the UX, that is the customer interface. Only two things. Okay. Banks are far different organizations. But as I said, profit pools of banks will get disintermediated. And how do
Cost
you...
to income is what they have to cost.
Yeah. And the fact of the matter is that they still need to find a way to own the customers. Okay. Because owning of the customers is where everything is at. There are two ways of doing this. Either you become a owner of the customer and find a right way of doing it through the use of AI or through whatever it is. So you disintermediate all the jobs that are repetitive and take them all out and make them customer facing. That's one way of doing it. Or you can do something like, say, JP Morgan, which has instead opted to be the balance sheet behind everything. So every financial institution, everybody is, they are the balance sheet behind it. They are so deep and so, solid behind the thing. Their ROA is still around 15% in a very low growth environment. And there is not one deal where they don't have their finger in the pie. But they are not retail. They have allowed somebody else to own it. So there are two ways of going about it. You have to decide which way suits you and then take that way. And take that way, by the way, JP Morgan's IT spends, if I tell you, they're massive IT spends. Massive IT spends. Because, and again, they are masters of the capital market. Okay? So therefore, you have to decide which area you play in. And no, I don't think banks will get disintermediate the way you said Zerodha and the others did. Yeah. They are a different play altogether. These are far more...
These are utilities, actually.
Yeah.
So.
And also, these are far more regulated entities with huge amount of, oversight, huge amount of depth in the market, and more than anything else, trust. People will do two things, anything for trust.
Yes.
And especially they will do it for two things. One is if it's money, which is security, and especially in old age, and the other is health. You will never be able to disintermediate all human beings out of these two. You will never be able to do it.
Okay, that's a bit of a consolation as well for the bankers here. Now let me come to, the gender question. Do you still think there are glass ceilings? Or do you think most of them have been smashed? And what is the glass ceiling is in the heads of women?
The glass ceiling is very much there. There is also a glass slide, by the way. Okay? Yeah, I fully believe that. So you have to be very, very careful about it. And the fact of the matter is, while it's been broken here and there, it's not completely gone. And it's not completely gone, not only because of the other gender in the room, but it's also because of ourselves. Okay? So I'm not saying that only one portion of the population is to blame. Both are. We ourselves also need to put ourselves out there. We need to push ourselves. We need to believe in ourselves. And we need to demand that, people sort of behave in a manner where everybody does 50-50. Okay? So both are very much there. Now what happens also, and this is something of a realization for me, when I came into Salesforce, they being a US listed company, they have a certain number of compliance things to tick. So for instance, I was not allowed to go in front of a media before I got media trained and certified by them.
No, I remember because the Indomitable came at that time and you didn't give me an interview.
Yeah. Because I couldn't, because I had to be media certified. Okay? Similarly, when I started taking interviews, I've been interviewing people for 20, 25 years, okay? They told me you had to be trained for interviewing. And one of the training modules is unconscious bias. So I said, look, I'm a woman, for heaven's sake. What unconscious bias will I have? So they said, yeah, we'll discover. And I had to go for the training. And actually speaking, to my horror of horrors, I had a lot of bias. They told me to just write down the questions I'd ask a woman and I'd ask a man for the same position coming from the same kind of background. And the questions were entirely different. In honesty, the questions were different. So the fact of the matter is, I was judging a woman not only for what she has done, but also what her family circumstances were, how much she could, travel, what else could she do, could she prioritize?
Those are legit questions, right?
Legit questions, but what about the man? You are giving them a pass. How do you know that that person can travel? How do you know that that person doesn't have a sick mother at home and maybe a sick wife as well? I'm not even asking them, taking it for granted that they can do it just because they're men. These are areas of unconscious bias that we have to get rid of. Unless we deliberately discover within us ourselves what is the bias that is holding women back, it's going to be a very, very tough ride.
No, I take your point entirely. I remember when I was in Dow Jones and heading the Bombay bureau, it was an all-woman team. It happened to be. It was not chosen that way. So when the next position was being advertised, I told my boss in Singapore, a Dutch guy, that we should, other things being equal, choose a man, because I feel one half of the human race is not represented in the newsroom. Yeah. And then he said, is there a man's way of reading a balance sheet versus a woman's way? Is there a man's way of reporting on monetary policy or budget versus a woman's way? There isn't it? So no, you will just pick the best candidate irrespective of gender. So there went my bias.
No, that is there. Means I'm not saying there is a man's way, but a man's opinion might be different about a particular situation from a woman's, because a woman can see things in a different light than the way the man sees it. So the fact of the matter is, I believe in balance, and it's not a question of only genders in any situation. There is a need for balance. Our own dharma tells us that there has to be balance. If there is no balance, then there is nothing. So to that extent, it is important to have a kind of a, balanced group or a balanced team looking at things. Okay. And you will get different points of view. Maybe not reading at a balance sheet, which is just numbers, but definitely about the situation, how things are evolving. So, for instance, every time I go to Palladium Mall and I'm waiting for my car, I always count the number of cars that are coming down, okay? Because it tells me how the economy is doing. All right. There were times when there are very few cars coming in. There were times when, there would be one after the other cars whizzing by. It gives you a sense. Now, I don't know how many men do that.
Well, I think this is more once a banker, always a banker.
So fact of the matter, these are the sort of things that you look for. I look for how long are the lines in the fitting rooms. Yes. So those are the kinds of things that gives me a sense of the pulse of the economy, whether it's beating well or not beating well. So, yeah.
Well said, well said. Just a final question before I hand it over. I came across this word. Somebody asked me about mansplaining. I hadn't looked up that word. And then I realized, a lot of people do mansplain, as if I'm some bloody kid and I haven't had my own fair share of, falls and experiences. Has that happened to you? That people treat you a little... Because you've lived in a man's world, with only pockets of women.
Not in the near future, or near past. Maybe 25, 30 years down the line. If I've read my book, the first time that I really felt this was in class 8, when, one of our principal, he had called one of his old students to talk to us, and that guy was economist, passed from some of the best economic institutions here and abroad. And he asked, what are your ambitions? And he asked me, what's your ambition? That point of time, somehow I thought I'd be a biochemist. So I said, I want to be a biochemist. And the guy, with a slight bit of a sneer, said, not a kitchen chemist. Now, that's the first time I felt it, okay? And I have not forgotten it. So yeah, there are little pieces, but maybe not in the near past.
Yeah. That's right. I think even the gender has, even if it is, the bias is there, it's well disguised.
And by the way, kitchens are actually chemistry labs. So when he said that, he said the right thing. I should have had the right answer. I didn't have it. I have it now. Yeah.
Well, that's very interesting. But I think it's your chance to ask the questions. Someone who has really been there, done that across industries, finance and now technology. And she's been in international banking as well, so across countries. Please go ahead. Yes, if you can introduce yourself and then... You have the mic? Okay, please go ahead.
Thanks for that talk, ma'am. Fantastic. We enjoyed every minute of it, and thank you for being such a lovely host. I'm Harish. I come from HTSC AMC, and I lead the digitization committee for the chambers. So the first question was very apt. It gave me a lot to think about, and we have been discussing on our group how we proceed. So my question to you is this. I think a lot about the specific role that India plays in the global AI story, especially the downsides that are very visible. Right? We are a country of IT services, mass recruiting. When I started my career, my first job offer was from Infosys. All those jobs no longer matter in a way. Right? In my own team, I would not hire a junior Java developer anymore, for example. So I think a lot about AI education for our country. How will you take AI, applied AI to millions and millions, tens of millions of students or early jobbers? I worry that this tsunami is going to wipe out a lot of those people. You said that jobs will change, but there is going to be a large gap where this transition is going to be extremely painful. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on AI education or AI literacy, literally, for our country. Yeah, thanks.
So basically, let me tell you, we need to increase the human component in our younger students. What do I mean by human component? The ability to be creative, the ability to be empathetic, the ability to be multidisciplinary. For instance, today we use AI in the flow of work. Now, if I don't even know the flow of work, how am I going to use it? Okay, just putting prompts is not enough. Understanding the workflows is more important. Me, for instance, today, I feel very empowered because I know the flow of work in banking. At least I'm talking about finance. And now, because I can use natural language to use AI, which I couldn't earlier, it had to be SQL queries. I feel enormously empowered. I can walk across the entire thing and tell my guys, my tech guys, you're getting it wrong. That's not the way the workflow goes. So believe me, I can contribute more in an AI firm now than the guys who actually were pure tech. So I keep telling them, you know, you've never seen a visionary like me. 50 years back, I knew I could do everything with English. That's why I studied English. आप लोग तो engineering पढ़ के पागल हो गए. Now I can do everything. Okay. So anyway, I pull their legs all the time. But the fact of the matter is, you have to understand that your specialization can no longer be just IT. It has to be understanding of real life problems. It has to be understanding of real life workflows. So you need to change the way students go at it. I'll also give you another example. Just recently, my child, by the way, needed integrated school. I never put her in a special school. I put her in an integrated school because she had certain learning difficulties, etc. Now, there was this school called Akshar in Calcutta. They've just been awarded with a prize. It's called Inclusion Ke Sitare. It is done by Jaivakil and Amir Khan Foundation. Okay, and their school is an integrated school where there are 35 students in a class, 10 of which are specially abled, and the rest 25 are regular. Okay, I have never seen such empathetic human beings as those little children. It's the one school where there is no shouting in the corridor or rushing and pushing, and you will find whenever you go there, some regular, neurotypical child holding the hand of a neurodiverse child and taking them down the stairs. Okay. Now, a lot of people refuse to put their children in those schools, the neurotypical students, the normal children. Why? Because they thought it's a special school. Today, I'm telling you, those sort of schools are necessary. Because if you can solve the problem of a neurodiverse person, you can solve the problem of an illiterate farmer. You can't do it if you're only sitting over there and mugging up your stuff and trying to get numbers. It does not give you the kind of 360-degree development that you need to win in this world. This world will need your human components to be really sharp, to be really developed, for you to remain, for you to remain relevant. Because IT will do what you put it to do. And you can put it to do if you have those ideas, if you have the understanding, if you have the empathy. Doesn't happen otherwise.
HR's thought that way.
And believe me, every one of us are going to be disabled. As you age, and I can realize that today, every one of us, if we think we are normal, just wait for you to age. You know, just wait. Because I'll tell you, for instance, round knobs, they're lovely, right? I hate round knobs. Because as you grow older, your grip strength goes. People with arthritis in the fingers, they can't use round knobs. So why are we putting now round knobs there? Because we are not aware that at some point of time in our lives, that's going to come back and hit us. So you have to understand the world is one. People are one. And if you don't have some problem now, tomorrow you might have it. In the 1800s, wearing spectacles was considered a disability. Today it's fashion because we have conquered it completely. Now the latest is hearing issues. Okay, every other third person I find they have hearing issues. So the fact of the matter is we are to really create a world where we continue to function at our best levels. We have to function in it totally differently. And yes, education is the first place we need to look at because that is the generation that will face all of these challenges.
Get out of the specialization mode.
Ma'am.
Please, sir.
Thank you, ma'am, for your fantastic intervention. My name is Srinivasan. I'm part of the MSME committee, so it's a topic which is close to my heart. You talked about jobs getting changed. You know, we have 6.5 crore MSMEs and providing 13 crore kind of jobs, likely to continue to provide jobs, right? When you said jobs are going to change, MSMEs take the unskilled people and continue to provide them jobs. Farm hands move into MSMEs. With this whole AI and technology, and you know, you're going to be taken away by the tsunami of this. How much will it impact the MSMEs, and how much it will impact the job creation in the MSME sector?
So actually speaking, I'll say that it can impact MSMEs very, very well.
Positively.
Very positively. Recently, there was a report that we worked on under Niti Aayog, which looks at the unorganized sector and how they can be empowered by AI. Okay. Remember, AI, the biggest advantage is you can communicate with it in natural language. And the natural language can be any language. Today, I may not have a huge repertoire in maybe, say, Malayalam or Bengali or something, but Hindi is pretty good. And the fact of the matter is, imagine a plumber who hasn't really had experience in the very, nitty-gritty of doing things. He can describe the problem, he can show his mobile and take pictures of the problem, and the AI will guide him as to how to, actually address that problem. Many of us don't even call these guys, these maintenance workers, because they are not able to find the problem. They come, they'll do something, the problem remains the same, because they don't have the education. If AI is used to empower them, they'll be able to do a much better job. And strangely, I'll tell you something, and this is an experience with our own helpline. So Salesforce as a post-implementation helpline, okay, which is now completely on the agentic layer. Now, when we first started, we were doing about 44% first call resolution. Today, we are at 84% plus first call resolution. Because we have kept training it, AI trainers are required. We have kept training it. We have kept attaching databases to it to make it more and more powerful. And our idea was that as these first call resolutions go up, we will get lesser and lesser calls. To our surprise, we are getting more calls. And that then we went and looked at that how come we are getting more calls? We are resolving them. They are saying we are getting more calls because tiny, tiny things that used to bother us and never used to come to you all, we are coming to you now because we know we'll get the answer fast. So the fact of the matter is, if your plumber is doing a great job, you will keep calling that plumber. And you will keep talking about that plumber. He will get more jobs. Okay? So I am not saying that these people cannot be helped. They can be helped enormously. Same with your MSME players. When they come in, you have to teach them the job. Teach them your job by showing them and giving them hands-on experience, side by side. They can lay the bricks, actually speaking, take pictures, and the AI, for instance, will tell you, this is the problem you have created. From from the way that you have laid it, this is not how it should be done, this is how it should be done. So basically training them, teaching them, ensuring that the quality of the jobs that is coming out, ensuring that they are able to skill themselves, upskill themselves, and therefore grow bigger. All of that happens. And financing, as I said, of MSMEs, which is very difficult to do at this point of time, becomes much more inclusive, and therefore gives them the ability to scale and grow bigger. So I believe that these are enormous opportunities. Let's not second guess this. I'm requesting people don't second guess it. There's no second guessing this. We are seeing it happening in front of our eyes. Okay? So yes, it's not as mature as we'd like it to be. It's no magic button. As I said, it's like we need trainers, just like we need guardians to train people to give the right values and things like that. And today, for instance, earlier we used to say, we have these libraries of things that these agents can do. We also have guardrails. So the libraries would be about 55%, guardrails would be about, say, less than 45. In fact, it used to be, say, about 40%. Okay. Today, the guardrails are 70%, and what you can do is 30%. Because we also want to be very sure it's doing what we need it to do, and not more. Okay? So basically, this is a learning phase, but we are all learning together. And that's how it should be. We need to learn together and not shut our minds to something and, hope that it will go away. It won't go away. Okay?
Well, it is 8:15. What is our deadline?
Let me ask
Okay,
this
I think
one.
we'll have to take one more question. And yeah.
Good evening to you both. Thanks for the enlightening discussion and the insights. I am Vinay Verma, a large experience in telecom, and now for last 10 years, a healthcare professional. I think I must appreciate the kind of insights that have come from ma'am. And there used to be I find a certain kind of scare around the tsunami. But two areas, out of the context here, I may say largely the discussion has happened around financial or the industry. But where I see silver lining is, one is healthcare and second is education. So I'd like to know your perspective about how it will catalyze us, how it will help India in these two areas very briefly. I think that'll give us some positive end to this discussion, I think.
So frankly, I believe very strongly in this as well. And this is where Indians are most underserved. You go to any of these state hospitals, and it's a pity because the doctor doesn't have time to even look up at the patient. Okay? They are so busy just scribbling down whatever symptoms you are saying and giving you a prescription, because he's looking at an enormous number of patients. And that's not what healthcare should be. Now imagine that you have these agents that are there where you go in and describe your symptoms. The agent takes it all down, immediately transcribes it, comes up with a preliminary analysis or a diagnosis. And as the patient is entering, he's already talking to the doctor in his ear, saying, this is the patient, main symptoms, my initial diagnosis. The doctor then has the time to look up at the patient and actually find out those things that he may think are not quite gelling, or where he may have a difference, but actually finds the time to interact. And believe me, if you remember when we were very young, and not everybody, but at least my generation, there are a few people here, when the doctor used to come to our houses, the sight of the doctor used to cure half of our diseases. Of course, the other half used to get cured by the wonderfully bad taste of the medication they would give, the fear of taking the medication. But the fact of the matter is, when you are at your most vulnerable, it's important to have a human contact. It's important to feel reassured. It's important to have a person look you in the eyes and tell you it's going to be okay, or we'll fight it all along the way. It's important. We don't have time for that. You look at, the Tata Memorial and look at the way things are done. They are working like crazy. Absolutely crazy. I have nothing other than pure respect for the people who work there. But they are human beings. They have one head and two hands and 24 hours. So this, for a country as populous as ours, we can never give them the standard of care that they deserve unless we use AI. We can never do it. Okay? Similarly with the schools and education. What is the standard way that we have done education? You are like a regiment of the army. Everybody does left, right, left, right, left, right together. My brain goes right, left, right, left. What can I do? But there's no space for me. Because you have to go left, right together. That's not the way we need to, actually teach people. Somebody may be really good at dance. Somebody may be really good at sports. Somebody may be really good at something else. Okay? And you are making that person do what everybody else is required to do. Maybe I understand something very fast. Maybe I don't understand something very fast. Is there a way of getting me help? There isn't. AI is the only one that can create a curriculum suited to you with the strengths and the weaknesses factored in, and then give you the kind of material that will help you improve in both at the pace that you can go, monitor it, and continue to evolve on it. Now, these are not things that can be done for a nation of 1.4 billion without using technology. There is absolutely no way. But if we as a nation really want to thrive, we have to look at these things. How do we bring it about? How can we bring about the pedagogy that is available in Mumbai's best schools into the rural classes? How do we do that? Is it impossible? No, it isn't. It's eminently possible. But we have to find ways of delivering that. And again, as I said, we are all learning together. I'm not saying everything is here and everything is now. It will take a period of time. But we need to all be, enthusiastic participants in the journey. That's all I want.
I think the biggest takeaway from what you have said, ma'am, is that we have to lean in where you began into technology. Maybe hereafter, instead of giving a Ladli Behna check of 1,500 or 2,000, you should be giving us software to learn an AI, learn a course, learn plumbing. We have to change all round, and technology will help us do that. 3 cheers to the indomitable Arundhati, who has also dominated over her colds today.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ladies, for that very wonderful, engaging conversation. Please, I request you to stay back as I invite Mr. Rajiv Anand and Mr. Sudhanshu Watts to present you with a memento of our appreciation. Once again, a huge round of applause. From digitization to unconscious bias to upskilling, we covered quite a lot of topics. Thank you, Ms. Arundhati and Ms. Lata, for being here on this special day for us. Yeah, a group photograph. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Now I request Mr. Sudhanshu Watts to present his vote of thanks.
Thank you. It is indeed my pleasure to extend a very warm vote of thanks to all of you here. It's been our milestone 190th Foundation Day celebration. BCCI has sort of traveled along, but there is still a lot to travel and traverse, which is indeed, I think, in our journey, as we continue to look at doing things with purpose, focus on progress, and do it with passion. I think we will continue and deliver for a Viksit Bharat and also for a proud Mumbai and Maharashtra. I think, first and foremost, let me start by thanking Ms. Arundhati Bhattacharya for an outstanding session. I think she talked about leadership, technology, the future of enterprise, but most importantly, I loved her anecdotes. All the anecdotes started from the Mumbai rail to all the things, her way of looking how economy is performing. On a lighter note, ma'am, I'm a runner, and men also, I look at how the hoardings are, basically. So depending on the hoardings, how basically the economy is performing, maybe still an old measure, but that's a measure which has always been ingrained. So therefore, that's the piece. But I think your entire emphasis on technology, their focus on democratization, and my view is that your clear message to lean in, I think, which is what Lata talked about in the end as well. And I think for us as a country, if you look at India, I think the first wave of digital has helped democratize many things for us. And you talked about the Jan Dhan. I think AI, to MSMEs particularly, is a great opportunity for democratizing and leveling the field from a talent point of view. And therefore, that itself, in my judgment, will be enormous, Philip. And I think that's something which we are taking away. And thank you for a lovely session. And another anecdote I want to quickly narrate. Our maid is getting better and better. She's becoming a 5-star chef. You know how? With a lot of YouTube videos, she also manages to teach me a little bit. Now I can prepare some tur dal slightly better and a little bit of rice. So I'm saying the point I'm making is that there is a lot of scope for India in a very different way. And I think you really articulated that beautifully, because we sometimes get carried away that all the big companies are sitting in the US or they're sitting in China, and some of them are sort of, so which we know less about. Yeah, but most of the development is a great point you're making, and I think therefore, and how it translates. So thank you once again, an outstanding evening, and I think really helpful for BCCI and our agenda, which Rajiv has said. Thank you to Lata, my friend, and also an outstanding and very passionate this thing. As you rightly pointed out, one of the reasons you actually came in here is Lata for you. That's a great comment, and I think it couldn't have been a better pair and there couldn't have been anybody better to elicit and to get all that we were able to get out of Ms. Bhattacharya in that 1 hour. So I think thank you very much. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your time. I also want to thank Rajiv, our current president, his agenda on 3 I's. I think, and I was relating to a little bit on the impact, inclusion, and innovation, and particularly some of the things on inclusion and how do we drive innovation with AI. And I think that's the piece, and how do we continue to develop this as we go forward. So thank you, Rajiv. I also want to thank all our past presidents who are sitting here, our board members who are sitting here, the Council General and others who've come here. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for being here for the special evening of BCCI. I also want to thank our BCCI Secretariat, I think Sandeep Khosla and the team for putting it together. They do it relentlessly behind the scenes, but and they make everyone else look good. So thank you very much. Thank you for doing this. Also to all our members, some of whom are maybe present here, I think for growing, for basically being with Bombay Chambers, for strengthening this symbiotic relationship. Your membership builds us, and hopefully we give back a little bit to the members as well at BCCI. To the wonderful audience, a big round for all of you, big round of applause for finding time for this evening as you are here. And without taking too much time, I would just like to sort of then now invite you to I'm sure Sandeep has organized some good drinks, so good cocktail and dinner. Look forward to sort of having you over. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's indeed a pleasure.
That we come to the end of a memorable day. I take this opportunity to wish you all a very happy and prosperous new year in advance from all of us at the Chamber. May the new year inspire bold ideas, purposeful leadership, and collective success across industry and society. Please join us for cocktails and dinner. Have a great evening. Good night.